When I was watching the football this weekend, a thought crossed my mind, and it's something that's been in football for a very long time now, but I wanted to have a look at the history of this and kind of go through why this is a rule and what the official reasoning is for this. And that is when a football player takes their shirt off when celebrating a goal. Now, specifically, this crossed my mind when Salah scored one of his goals for Liverpool the weekend against Southampton. The first thought that came to my head really when I saw that was, wow, that dude is ripped. Like, he is absolutely shredded, making me feel very jealous. I will be honest, and probably most men watching the game there on telly. But the second thought that crossed my mind is, why are players given yellow cards? Because I was always told, and I've always been told growing up, that the reason for this is because of sponsorship. So obviously football players' shirts are heavily sponsored. There's always a front of house sponsor. There's sometimes sleeve sponsors, back sponsors on the shorts as well. There is rear end sponsors as well. Sometimes you'll see these sponsorships all over the kit basically. And I was always told, oh, it's the FA, it's the Premier League being commercialized. You can't go ruining that sponsor airtime effectively, because obviously when someone scores a goal and the camera then centers on their celebration, that will be photographed a lot, that will be shared around the world, it'll be all over social media nowadays as well. So with all that in mind, that is a lot of sponsorship airtime that those sponsors are looking out and losing out for. So you might get a yellow card. But then I thought, wait a minute, it's not that though, is it? It's not quite that simple, because you see people get yellow carded for taking their shirts off during the World Cup, during the Euros, where famously there are no sponsors on national team kits. It can't just be that. And it turns out that is the case. So I'm just going to basically explain why this is a rule, how long this has been a rule for, and if there's any kind of exceptions to this rule. So according to FIFA's rules, this has been in place since 2004, so it's now 20 years old. So presumably before that, if players took their shirts off, they didn't used to get a yellow card, but nowadays they of course do. According to FIFA, and this is a quote from their exact rule book, players can celebrate when a goal is scored, but the celebration must not be excessive. Choreographed celebrations are not encouraged and must not cause excessive time wasting. Leaving the field of play to celebrate a goal is not cautionable, worthy of a yellow card offence, but players should return as soon as possible. So sometimes you might see players diving into the crowd, celebrating with the fans, particularly in lower league games, you might see something like that. That in itself is not a yellow card offence, but if it goes on for a bit too long, if the referee deems that it was an excessive and therefore time wasting celebration, then it's a yellow card. Just like if you're kicking the ball away on the field, that is seen as time wasting. Goalkeepers taking a while to take a goal kick. Outfield players taking a while to take a free kick, for example, all is time wasting. But usually these celebrations are not, unless they're a bit excessive. But what is excessive? Well, here we go. This is what is deemed as excessive, and they must be cautioned for this. This is not a choice of the referee. This is something that has to be a yellow card offence. Climbing onto a perimeter fence and or approaching the spectators in a manner which causes safety and or security issues, obviously diving into the crowd, that can be seen as something that is dangerous for the player's welfare, even though of course they're taking it upon themselves, but in theory it could be dangerous. Acting in a provocative, derisory or inflammatory way. So for example, I don't even know if he got a yellow card for this, but he really should have done. Emmanuel Adebayor running the length of the pitch to celebrate in front of Arsenal fans, his former club, when he scored against them for Manchester City. When was that? About 2009, something like that. That's a yellow card offence. That is definitely acting in a very provocative way, shall we say. Covering the head or face with a mask or other similar item. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is probably the most serial offender with this one for his Spider-Man mask thing that he used to do. I don't even know where he used to hide it. I don't want to know, to be honest, but he used to do that quite a bit. I imagine he got quite a few yellow cards for celebrating goals like that, particularly, it was at Dortmund, wasn't it? Borussia Dortmund, where he used to do that a lot. And also removing the shirt or covering the head with a shirt. So basically taking your shirt off, that is a yellow card offence. Officially, it is nothing to do with sponsorships, and I can believe that, to be honest, because if it was purely something for domestic leagues like the Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, or whatever, then I can understand people thinking, oh, it's all about sponsorships. But of course, international games, like I said earlier, they don't have sponsors on the kits, so it is not a sponsorship thing, at least in FIFA's case anyway. For international games, Premier League, you might be able to argue it's something different, but officially that is not the reason. It's basically because it's seen as a bit excessive. It's seen as an excessive celebration, which is very boring in my opinion. I really don't like it. And we've seen players be sent off for second yellow cards for taking the shirts off. In fact, in the World Cup, I'm sure there was a Cameroonian player who scored a goal in the last minute to equalise or win the game for his country, and he got sent off for a second yellow card. So we have seen it before in international games. We've seen it in domestic games too. Players getting carried away and just forgetting they're already on a yellow card, presumably, and getting sent off, getting the team sent down to 10 men. And Chloe Kelly as well. The goal, I'm sure it was her that scored the goal to win the Women's Euros for England in 2022. She famously took her shirt off and started waving it around like that. She got a yellow card for that. So yeah, the only exception to this, as far as I can tell, is if it is a quote-unquote heartfelt tribute. Billy Sharp, for example, his tribute to his son who passed away very, very young, literally after a couple of days, I think it was. I've got a lump in my throat just thinking about it because I'm a Sheffield United fan and I'm a big fan of Billy Sharp. When he was playing for Doncaster, he took his shirt off when he scored a goal a couple of days after that happened. And he revealed underneath on his undershirt thing, it said, "That's for you, son." I think in those circumstances, I mean, technically he didn't really take his shirt off, he just lifted it up. But in those kind of circumstances, when there is something that's heartfelt, some kind of tribute like that, they are not giving a yellow card for that, which, thank God for that. Can you imagine if they got a yellow card for that? Like lifting up your shirt and saying, "Oh, we respect the victims in Ukraine or whatever for the war over there," and getting a yellow card for that. That would be, that would be quite bad. To be fair, in most of those situations, that is a shirt lift rather than removing the shirt entirely. So maybe that's part of the reason why they don't get a yellow card. But the important thing in that sense is it's not excessive. So there we go, guys. Another rule in football. Don't you just love rules in the beautiful game that just make these things so much more fun? Aren't rules fun? Don't you love them? But there we go, guys. Do you think that yellow cards should be handed out for players taking their shirts off? Yes or no? Let us know in the comments below. And for much more football content on the beautiful game, keep it tuned to thefootballchronicle.com. Like, share, comment, subscribe, ring the bell as well, and we'll see you very soon, guys. Have a good one.